And we will pursue nations that provide aid or safe haven to terrorism. Every nation in every region now has a decision to make. Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
Washington has known about the problem for years, a regional analyst said. That there has been no action is an indication of the limited influence the U.S. has over the Saudis. But the fact that both the Iraqis and American military officials are now pointing fingers may be a sign that carnage has overcome diplomatic niceties.
Despite 6 years of promises, U.S. officials say Saudi Arabia continues to look the other way at a list of wealthy individuals sending millions of dollars to Al-Qaeda.
If I could somehow snap my fingers and cut off the funding from one country, it would be from Saudi Arabia.
In a rare public scolding, the top U.S. official in charge of tracking terror financing, Stuart Levy, told ABC News Saudi Arabia has dropped the ball.
When the evidence is clear that these individuals have funded terrorist organizations and knowingly done so, then that should be prosecuted and treated as real terrorism, because it is.
In Saudi Arabia, how many such people have been prosecuted?
As far as I know, there have not been any.
Not a single one?
No.
U.S. officials point to men like Yassin al-Qadi, a wealthy businessman, put on the U.S. and UN list of al-Qaeda financiers 1 month after the 9/11 attacks. Al-Qadi, who has consistently denied the allegation, remains free, still a prominent figure in the region.
And he remains designated to the United Nations for his material support to al-Qaeda.
And we will pursue nations that provide aid or safe haven to terrorism. Every nation in every region now has a decision to make. Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
One of Saudi Arabia's biggest Islamic charities, Al Haramain, raises $100 million a year. It says builds mosques and helps Muslims around the world. But Al Haramain is accused of also funding Al-Qaeda. To find out why, you have to talk to investigators in the United States.
Some of these organizations were established for the purpose of financing terrorism. Others have been co-opted at some point along the way, and now are there serving as fronts for terrorist organizations.
2 of Al Haramain's offices have been closed after the US and Saudi governments named them as fronts for funding Al-Qaeda. Yet Al Haramain's Riyadh headquarters remains open, its director denying any links with bin Laden.
نحن ضد الإرهاب والعنف، ولذلك لا أتصور أنه أي فرع من فروع المؤسسة يستطيع أن يساعد القاعدة. قد يعني نحن لا نستبعد أن يكون يحصل شيء بغير علمنا، لكن حتى الآن لم يقدم لنا أي دليل.
A former FBI analyst, Matt Levitt, says Al Haramain has funded Islamic terror in Southeast Asia.
We now know through the confessions of Omar al-Farouk, who is al-Qaeda's primary liaison to the Jamal Islamiyah in Southeast Asia, that the Jamal Islamiyah was being funded in large part by wealthy Saudis, primarily through the Al Haramain Islamic Foundation there.
Working for the families of the victims of September 11, Washington lawyer Alan Gerson is suing Saudi charities, banks and even royal family members for $1 trillion for financing September 11.
In many respects, having money around and allowing that money to go to the wrong sources is like providing a gun.
As well as links to September 11, Gerson has discovered disturbing new claims that Saudi money funded the bombing in Bali.
We have seen evidence of money that went from Saudi sources that went through the medium of various entities in Europe to support terrorist cells there. If you connect the dots between terrorist cells in Europe and terrorist cells in Europe that received financing from individuals and entities in Saudi Arabia, those terrorist cells in Europe definitely had connections with Bali.
There have been several reports, the most recent of which was written at the request and for the United Nations, which document the fact that Saudis have, over the years, agreed to finance certain radical Islamic organizations on the silent condition that their operations and that their recruitment would be abroad and not at home.
And we will pursue nations that provide aid or safe haven to terrorism. Every nation in every region now has a decision to make. Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
Well, Saudi Arabia, despite the administration's delusions, is not our friend. Saudi Arabia is the leading exporter of terrorist propaganda and education in the world today.
Parents were met by protesters this morning outside a Fairfax County school. The Islamic Saudi Academy there is accused of having textbooks that teach hatred and incite violence. And adding to the scrutiny, the school's director was recently charged with obstruction of justice. Caroline Leiters is outside the school tonight in Alexandria. More details.
Well, Leon, the school's director is charged with failing to report allegations of abuse, child abuse, those allegations made by one of his students. Then in a separate matter, that new federal report accuses the school of teaching violence and hate. Well, tonight the school defends its curriculum as protesters call for the school to shut down. More than a dozen protesters line the edge of the Islamic Saudi Academy, some calling for a federal investigation into the school's teachings, others calling for the 25-year-old school to close.
I would like the school to actually pack up and go home, to tell you the truth.
At issue, several passages in the school's textbooks that, according to translators for the federal government, teach students that Muslims may kill adulterers and converts from Islam.
You can worship in America whether you're Christian, Jew, Hindu, or Muslim. However, you are not free to teach children to hate, to teach children that the way you lift up your religion is to eliminate other religions.
While one school leader denied the passages are even taught, another admitted that they are in the curriculum but are simply being mistranslated and misinterpreted.
There is nothing really here to be intolerant or hate for anybody. And we've been 25 years in the existence and we didn't see anything really harm anybody.
But this isn't the first time the Academy's been in the spotlight. In 2005, former valedictorian Ahmad Omar Abu Ali was convicted of joining Al-Qaeda and threatening the president. Just last week, the school's leader was charged with covering up a child abuse allegation.
A 5-year-old child's report.
And now, criticism from Fairfax County residents to D.C. activists to a federal commission over the lessons it's teaching. The school is funded by the Saudi government, and that actually falls under the jurisdiction of the State Department. The State Department has asked the school to revise and review its curriculum by August of this year. The school tells us that it is doing just that. Reporting live from Alexandria, Caroline Leiters.
We will pursue nations that provide aid or safe haven to terrorism. Every nation in every region now has a decision to make. Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.